What's up? Welcome to the AV Club podcast. My guest today is Tim Kennedy, a good buddy of mine. Tim is an avid hunter, a fisherman, and a lover of all things outdoors. I'm talking lover. I'm talking he'll kiss a tree, he'll make out with the grass. Doesn't matter. All that is in his wheelhouse. We talked about hunting. We talked about learning how to hunt. We talked about Tim's experiences when he was first starting, and then some of his cooler experiences being a more knowledgeable hunter. And it was good. I learned a ton, and I hope you do too if you're ever interested in getting into hunting. So without further ado, Tim Kennedy. All right, bro. We're rolling, by the way. So just
that's good, man.
Yeah. Tim Kennedy, bro. How are you?
Man, I'm so glad to see you. It's so good being here. How have you been, man?
You interview me.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
You interview me. How's it going?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been going well. I see that you're doing your own thing, and when I heard you're doing your own podcast, I was like, no way. I was like, I have to tune in. So
yes, way.
And then when you're, hey man, you want to be on it? I was flattered. I was.
Were you really? Be honest.
This is my serious space.
Okay.
I was honest.
Okay. That's cool. It's fun, first of all. It's super fun. I've had, this is my 8th episode we'll be recording right now. And so.
Golly, already?
Yeah, I know, right? So 2 of them were over Zoom, which is still cool, but definitely not like this. It's kind of cool seeing the lights and having the camera on and all that stuff. But
absolutely.
The first 2, I was so nervous. Like, actually, just the first one. The second one was Daniel. So I was like, whatever. It's hard. It was harder for me to do Daniel, though, than for me to do the guest I had first, which his name is Ben, and he's the pastor of the church. Yeah.
Church,
Yes, sir. And it was just cool to talk to him. I didn't know anything about him, so it was easy to ask the questions and stuff. And with Daniel, I was like, dude, I know everything. Like, everything I'm asking you is literally not for me. It's for everybody else, which is the point, but it'll get easier as it goes. It's been fun so far, and I've already learned a ton. Like, you looked at my first video compared to the one
now.
I just did.
It's gotten progressively better.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. So Tim, Christina.
So we're gonna wait till some quote, some movie quote. So we've worked together before. You know me. I mean, I won't say intimately. We've had some car rides together at San Antonio, and I think you are one of the select people to see how I act behind the wheel of a vehicle when there are people that are mismanaging their vehicles.
Dude, that's so funny.
So you know me pretty well, and I'm really excited to kind of dive into this. We've talked about this high level on some trips that we've had together, but I think this is going to be cool, like conceptually, just to voice ideas. And the older I get, I love just talking about ideas with people. So
yeah, dude, that's cool, but you're not even old, bro.
Thanks, man.
I've known you did
32 years young.
32 years young.
I know. I feel like I'm just starting.
I met you like a year ago, bro. Like a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
I remember we were talking about podcasts when we first met.
I think that was like the first car ride we had. We talked about podcasts.
It's crazy.
And you had a podcast idea.
I did.
And if you're willing to say that, I just don't want people to steal it, but there's probably 7 people that listen to this.
Oh man, there's a lot more than that, and it's not my idea. It's anyone's. It's free, right? So it's first generation hunting, and what I mean by that is, I didn't grow up hunting. I didn't grow up with like my pappy, my grandpappy teaching my dad, and my dad teaching me. It didn't happen.
Right.
My dad was a full bird colonel in the Air Force, so we moved every 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. So the older I got, the more I wanted to dive into being like self-sufficient and like knowing where my food is coming from. And so I decided to, get into hunting. And it's easy with the whole Meat Eater and Steve Rennell and things on Netflix and diving into that culture and be like, oh, I want to be a part of that. But it's deeper than that, man. It's like knowing where your food came from, going out and harvesting your food and having such an appreciation for the animal to study its habits, knowing its habitat, knowing its mating schedules, and then pursuing that, and like in pursuit of an animal to harvest it. So that's kind of what I wanted to have is more of a, say, like primal instinct, because hunting's been a part of humans for how many years, right?
Since the beginning.
Beginning of time, right?
Right.
And so that was the overall concept was, okay, I didn't grow up doing this. Let me dive into it now, appreciate it, understand it, educate, and then go, actually, execute. So I've been hunting for about 3 years now, like really, really hunting. This is going to be my 3rd season coming up. So yeah, that's kind of high level what the whole podcast was about.
Yeah.
And I think that when more people understand the why behind the what, more people will get into it. And it's not just circumventing the whole meat industry, but it's like it's a more purest form of like going out cultivating your meat, knowing where it's coming from. And then I believe that one of the things that bring people of all walks of life together is food. And if you can share that with people and just like, hey, look, I think that's just like it's a beautiful thing, you know?
Yeah, that is true, dude. Food. I mean, I love food. I've never hunted, but I love food. So
Yeah.
you're absolutely right.
You do love food.
What what so besides that, what else inspired you to hunt? Like, did you happen to see like any sort of video, or did you just were one day where you're like, oh, I'll try it?
No, what's funny, you should say that, is growing up, hunting never appealed to me because I fixated on the killing, the actual killing of the animal.
Yeah.
And that didn't resonate well with me. And I think it doesn't resonate well with a lot of people.
Yeah,
and I
would
understand
agree.
that.
I would agree.
There's nothing pretty about death.
Right.
But again, understanding the why behind the what is, I love being outside. I love camping. I'm an Eagle Scout. Like, I grew up doing that. It's this, but we won't go into that.
Oh, sorry, bro.
And so it's being outside for one, and then it is putting like skills together to pursue an animal. So it is like a challenge, and it's rising to the occasion. And then once you do cultivate that animal and you do harvest it, like it's a rewarding feeling that I just can't explain. It's inevitable. Like once you have it, you feel so proud. It's like that is your trophy, and you're a provider. And as a male instinct, that is such like a fulfillment. Like I am a provider.
Like the ego kind of thing kicks in a little bit with that one.
Yeah, and it's like it is purpose driven. It's like
Yeah.
now I feel like so that's kind of like
cool.
where and why I got into it. It wasn't like necessarily a show or a magazine or a news article I read or a book. It was just kind of putting everything together.
Yeah.
You know.
It's so weird to me seeing like, of course I don't follow anybody or know anybody that like trophy hunts.
Yeah.
But of course you do come across the occasional post on Twitter or whatever, and then obviously magazines. If you've ever ran into like a hunting magazine, there's usually some sort of trophy
Oh yeah.
pictures in there, which I'm not like that kind of, I don't know, that being a person that doesn't hunt, that kind of throws me off. I'm like, why are they killing these kind of like cooler animals, you could say, quote unquote, but why, what are your thoughts on trophy hunting, first of all? Because I don't think I've ever heard your opinion on that one. So yeah.
Yeah. So I like to try and stay as neutral as possible, because if it's hunting, there's all facets of hunting. And just because I don't like to hunt that way doesn't mean it's like wrong or right. Everyone has their preference, right?
I like
Some
that.
guys only like to big game hunt or trophy hunt, which I understand. If that's their forte, that's their forte.
Right.
To kind of take a step back, and then I'll go into where my mindset's at is when I first started hunting. Man, talk about a guy that's doing it wrong. What I mean by wrong is hunting from a ground blind with a rifle and a bipod, just with the feeder in front of you, just like the bare, raw Texas, sit down and wait for the deer to come in front of you and shoot it kind of thing.
Right.
That wasn't really fulfilling to me, and it didn't feel like really hunting to me. But for some guys, that is all the excitement they need.
Right.
And they share so many good times with their families that there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
So that said, I wanted more of a challenge, and I moved into bow hunting.
Oh yeah.
And then instead of hunting from a ground blind, I'd go into a tree stand, and I would wait and not just hunt a feeder. I would actually like understand their movements and what transitions they're going to. So diving into that, I decided to not hunt with a rifle and a bullet anymore and have that advantage rather than just a bow and arrow, and kind of have more of a challenge, if you will.
Yeah.
So that slowly started to turn into, look, I don't really care what comes, I'm not looking, if a huge buck comes along and it's a great shot and it presents itself, I'll take it and I felt comfortable, that's great. But this year I only got 2 doe. I only took the shots of 2 doe that I was comfortable with, and I'm fully okay with that. Filled my freezer. I saw a lot of good deer this season, man. A lot of good deer just watching them.
Really?
And that's because I have an appreciation for it. So it's not about just the hunting.
Yeah.
Just watching them in their natural environment.
That's super honorable and respectful. And
Yeah.
to me, it sounds a little bit more ethical, because if you don't have like a clean shot, like I've heard, stories of like, you taking a shot because you're supposed to hit them in the vitals, right? The lung or the heart,
Sure. Yeah.
or just anywhere that's going to drop them as quickly
Yeah,
as
exactly.
possible.
Yeah, you would like to double lung them, if you will. Like as a bow, I'd like to double lung them. So it's the fastest way, in my opinion, to expire that animal.
Yeah.
And it's the most humane. It's pretty much they'll just
Right.
get tired and go to sleep. You know?
Okay, so that's cool that you don't take shots that you don't actually 100% feel comfortable with because, I mean, otherwise the animal probably will suffer a little bit. So
Right.
It's cool that you try to avoid that.
Yeah, and everyone probably has heard a horror story. I'm sure there's thousands out there. But I think nowadays people are starting to have such a conservation mindset that they are moving to educate, younger and younger generations, especially the female population. It's so awesome to see female hunters start to rise right now. That's really cool. And just younger hunters, just again, educate, our next generation.
Yeah.
And then, let them decide from there as far as conservation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and to tie it all with the trophy hunting, like I said, if something comes along, that's great, but it's just the art, and it's just like fishing. Like if you get that big bass or whatnot, it's amazing. But the tug is the drug. Like just doing it, that's the fun, the art. You know? It's the holistic, getting up early, putting in the work, patience, seeing it, controlling yourself, and then finishing it, and then the real work begins, as everyone says, once the animal's down.
Once you're done tugging.
Once you're done tugging on that bow and releasing it, that's correct.
You said the tug is the drug?
Yeah, so like for fishing, when it tugs and you set that hook,
Oh,
they say the tug is the drug.
For fishing,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Thanks, man. I'm glad we clarified.
That's funny, dude. Yeah, I try not to, anyways. So you've been hunting for 3 years?
Yeah, 3 seasons that I've,
okay.
I've had my deer lease inland passes. I was actually blessed enough to have a college buddy of mine, have a pretty good sized ranch in land passes, and offered us to lease out to hunt it this season. So, and for the past 2 seasons, so we're able to hunt dove, duck, and deer and turkey. So,
that's cool.
Yeah.
So you've explained this to me once before, but up until you did, I had no idea what a lease was. Like obviously you like lease a house or you lease a car, or more likely a car, right? That's like the most common thing you lease.
Yeah.
But like with land, I didn't understand. I thought it meant like, I have a deer lease out, because growing up, my high school buddies would be like, I'm going out to my deer lease. And I was like, okay. I just assumed it meant just assumed it meant they had like a chunk of land that they owned and would go hunt at. But I'm like, now I understand that it's like you pay for, you're like renting out that space in order to hunt on it, right?
Yeah, that's right. So the ranch that I hunt on, the lease that I hunt on, we have a back 300 acres that I pay X amount per year to hunt, within the amount of like hunting season time. So we'll do that. And a lot of times people with ranches and they'll let that out, they'll lease that out to pay for the taxes on the land, which in the case that I do, that's what they do.
That's what he does.
Yeah, just to pay out the taxes on the land, they'll charge us. So he's not trying to, get rich scheme or anything like that. It's about, land management, deer management. He lets us cultivate deer, feed our family, stuff like that. And we pay the taxes pretty much.
That's dope. That's really cool.
Yep.
I haven't been out there. I need to go out there.
Yeah, you do. I keep saying that. And you know how giddy I was on Fridays. They're like, you going to the lease? I'm like, yeah, don't talk to me. I'm checked out.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I was talking to Taylor. Will you scoot the mic just a little closer? Sorry, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely.
I was talking to Taylor, and I told her that one time we were leaving work, and I remember you told me that you had you were going to the lease that weekend. I guess it was on a Friday. So you had 2 tubs in the back of your truck, and one of them had your clothes in it that were like unscented, like that you had cleaned and you like taken the scent off.
Yep.
And I told her that I forgot what we were talking about, but I told her I was like, I threatened Tim to put my scent on his clothes so that the deers don't come near him. And it was funny.
It was hilarious. Yeah, absolutely. And you think, deer, it's so crazy how well their senses are.
Yeah.
And when these are animals that their whole lives are skittish because everything hunts them, right? Like, and in Texas, the biggest predator are hunters for deer. But it's so awesome just watching them, watching their mannerisms, and seriously the slight scent that they catch. And bucks will circle just to catch all wind, like all scent from all directions. And if they hit something, they're gone. If something does not smell natural, it is just like clockwork. They'll throw their nose up, and it's like you're busted.
Dang.
And it's just like, bye.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So that's why I took, the necessary precautions to make sure I don't have scent.
What do you do? Do you spray yourself with urine? What do you do?
No.
Spritz, just like a little spritz of urine on the
Yeah,
neck
yeah.
and on the wrists.
Aaron's own. No. So what a lot of guys do, and again, it's all preference.
Feces?
No. What I do, I don't know what guys do, but what I'll tell you what I do is I do wash my clothes in like a dead downwind, scent free detergent. I let them air dry. I put them in a bag and I keep them in one of those tubs with like a ground scent or something that smells like the earth, and I keep that away from everything until I'm ready to hunt that morning, and then I break it all open. So I've had success with it.
That's
I rarely
cool.
get busted to the point where I'm in my stand and deer are like bedded down right below me. So stuff like that.
Dang. So what kind of hunting do you prefer? Because I know that you mentioned that on your lease you're able to hunt for a turkey, dove, and deer. What do you prefer to hunt, or like is there a preference for you, or?
That's a fair question. I would say that every hunt has its own like excitement. Just like if you're fishing, depending on what you're fishing for, saltwater fishing, like
Okay.
the red snapper that we're fishing for, or
What are you talking about? I didn't
that we
fish.
were fishing for,
Yeah, I didn't
or
fish.
or like a bass, or like it just depends. It's just a different. It's a different lens and a different like excitement. So
Okay. That
for
makes sense.
turkey, which coincidentally opens up for Lampasas County next weekend.
20, what was that, the 26th, 27th?
So it might be 2 weekends then. No, I think it's next week. It's
Before April?
April 3rd. April 3rd's opening day.
April 3rd is like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
No,
Thursday?
that's not.
No, you're right. It's 29, 30. It doesn't matter. It's
Okay.
like, I think it's 2 weeks though.
Gotcha. So anyway, it's coming up, and I'm pretty geeked out. So that's turkey are really like they're not good on scent. So what I mean by that is like you can be sitting on the base of a tree just camoed up, not moving, and they'll come right up to you pretty much. Especially
Yeah.
if you're calling them in. They're just way better on movement, so you want to be as still as possible. So that's just a fun and different hunt is being set up against a tree with a shotgun or a bow and calling them in and watching all these turkey come into you and having decoys in front of you and watching this big old tom, which is that big old turkey with the fan.
Oh, okay.
And we'll have props out here for a minute to show you guys. But that turkey with the fan comes out and he'll come to your decoys and be like, hey, I'm alpha. I'm the king guy. What are you doing here? And then it's right in front of you and then you take your shot, you know.
Do you ever manually, what did you say? What was the word you used for kill?
Harvest?
You said harvest. You also said
Cultivate?
cultivate. You said
But I
something
meant to
else.
say harvest. Yeah.
Do you ever manually kill the thing? Do you ever kill them with your bare hands? Is what I'm asking.
Fair question. My first turkey I've ever shot, I shot it with a shotgun. Again, before I started bow hunt.
Yeah.
Shot it with the shotgun. It wasn't the cleanest shot, so it was like it was going to expire. So
Expire.
Yeah, expire. So before it did, kind of like when you hunt duck, when you hunt bird or waterfowl or dove, when you pick it up, you kind of do this twirl thing and you break the neck.
Okay.
Funny story. I don't know if you've been that close to a turkey
Never.
before, a Jake turkey, which is like a younger turkey. It's not like a full grown like.
So
big old
Jakes are
tom.
younger, Toms are bigger.
Yeah, so it's toms are like the big old breasts with the beards. Like they'll have like a beard coming out of their chest and like yep, and the red and all like what you think of Thanksgiving turkey.
Right, yeah.
It's like a big old tom. Jakes are a little bit younger, still legal to shoot, and then you have hens, which are the females.
Okay.
So I shot a Jake. He hadn't expired, so I don't know if you've seen a turkey up close, but they actually have like these like kind of like talon like claws, if you will.
Yeah,
And it's like
yeah.
it's pretty crazy. So it wasn't moving until I approached it, obviously, and then it got its last little squirt of life, if you will, and the talons were killing. And my best friend Sean was looking at me just laughing because I'm trying to swing this turkey and break its neck, and I'm sorry for the visual mental picture I'm putting in the head, but this thing is just like clawing at me, and I'm like holding my breath and like just and I can just probably look like an idiot. So to answer your question, sometimes yes, you have to manually go kill it and then break the neck. So.
That's crazy. Nah, I don't want to get into
And that's the thing about hunting is like, as you hunt, the more you hunt, the cleaner it gets, if you will. I mean, I'm not always all the time, but you understand it a little bit more. You understand the vitals. You understand like how to kill an animal in the most humane way possible.
Yeah, that makes sense. That truly does make sense. You understand how to kill it without it suffering or clawing at you.
Yeah, and
Why
exactly.
why are they called Jakes and Toms? What does that even mean?
So that's just like why is a buck called a buck, and why is a cow elk called a cow elk? It's just the way that they've named it, and just like a harem of elk or a murder of crow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, stuff like that.
I've got a crow. I've got a
crow. Oh, that's so many inside jokes these people are gonna be like.
Me and Tim. So whenever Tim came into the office, we were working at before we moved to Georgetown. Like we didn't really know him. Let me tell this story real quick. The first time I ever met Tim Kennedy sitting in front of me was my first day as a real estate photographer. I had just gone through training.
Was this at the Thai food or the
Pho House?
Pho House, yeah.
Pho House. So I had just gone through all the training, all the necessary steps in order for me to go take these photos on my own, right? And I had my own personal camera, but we used the company's camera, which was way more expensive than mine. And there's a lens on it that's way more expensive than my whole camera setup. I had.
It was a couple grand lens or something.
Couple grand, the lens and then the camera combined. So it was like a big deal, right? Like you kind of have like a lot of money on you when you're holding these cameras. Yeah. And I went to this first house by myself. I remember it was in Dripping Springs, I believe, and I was killing it. I was doing good.
Was he there with you? Was it the tutorial? Oh, this was your solo?
This was
solo.
My first solo shoot ever. Like ever. First one by myself.
Okay.
The lady that was there, she was like the house manager. She kept the house, like took care of it, unlock the door, open the door for people. And she was there. She was cool. She's like, yeah, I know a little bit about cameras. And like, I was like, cool. Like,
did she sound just like that?
Yeah, she did. Okay. And I was like, cool, that's cool. Get out of my shot, get out of the way. I'm taking pictures.
Like I'm here to do a job here, lady.
Yeah.
Help me, help you. Yeah.
Lock the door and unlock it when I say get out of the shot, But she was like she was talking to her boyfriend on the phone or something. And I was about to take a picture of the kitchen / like living room to show like the open space or whatever. And then I was like, how the hell do you adjust this camera? Because my framing was off. Yeah. So I was like, okay, this tripod's new to me, but I remember him telling me that this thing right here, you switch this in order to adjust the framing of the camera. And so I hit it, but what I hit was the latch that secured the lock of the camera
that little thing on the bottom
to the tripod. Yeah. I hit the latch, unlocked it, and the camera lens sticks out about like this far. And so it's front heavy. And so as soon as I did that, it went and it fell. And I was like,
did your heart drop?
Dude, my heart dropped. I was so scared.
Did you have like a shock in your body?
I was miserable. I was like, I don't know what to do. And then a couple pieces fell off. So I picked up the pieces and I was like, oh my gosh, this isn't turning on. I was like, what do I do? I had been working there for, like 3 weeks before this. And so I was like, in my head, no joke, this is what I was thinking. I was like, okay, this camera costs about, this camera body is about $2,000. The lens is about $1,000. So I think the amount of time I've worked here, I probably made that much. If not, I had a little bit before. And so I'm just going to...
Yeah, okay.
I'm just going to pay the camera off, give him the money, and then I'm going back home. Because I had just moved to Marble Falls. I was like, I'll just move back. It's not a big deal. I'll just move back. That
I'm going to take my toys and I'm going to go home.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And so I was like, oh my God. Like, I tried to fix it. I Googled it. I was like, do you know how to... I asked her, and she was like, yeah, let me see it. And so I let her have it, and she turned it off, turned it back on, turned it off, turned it back on. I was like, I just did that, and you're not going to fix it by doing that. And so anyways, I called Matt. I was like, bro, I broke your camera. And I was like about to cry. I was so scared. And then he was super calm about it and super chill. And he was like, dude, it's okay. Just, we'll call Best Buy and we have a warranty on it. No worries. And so later that day we met up. I met up with Tim, Matt, and Daniel. I'm over here name dropping. Met up with all these guys at this place called Pho House in Bee Cave, Texas. And it was the first time I've been there too. And they were about to film a video for the...
It was a commercial.
Yeah, like a little commercial for like the food. And so I met Tim, and I don't remember the joke you made to me, but you made a joke about me dropping the camera, like no joke, 5 minutes after meeting. It was so funny.
So it was funny because before I met you, because I was working at a different job in that same general area, and I met them for lunch, and Matt was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna bring the two guys that we hired on. I want you to meet them, kind of get a feel for them, but don't say anything about Aaron dropping the camera." That's what he verbatimly told me that. So inevitably, I was like, "Well, if this guy's cool, I'm gonna say something, and he's gonna be cool about it."
Yep.
So I was like, "Oh, hey Aaron, hey Daniel, hey, you're the guy from UMHB, cool. You're the guy that dropped the camera, right?"
Yeah.
And you're just like you're like. Okay, this guy sucks.
Dude, yeah, I was miserable that day.
Yeah.
Man. I was like, that was one of the weirdest feelings. Is I was like, I just broke somebody else's toy. I'm like, I'm gonna get in trouble. But you know what's funny is that the bottom that holds the camera battery in place,
Yeah.
popped off,
And that's why it wouldn't turn on, because it needed that little,
There's like a little safety thing in there that I guess it's a safety thing. But if that's not on there, then the camera doesn't turn on.
it needs that little.
So Matt put it on there and popped it on. He was like, "Hey, you're good." And
Like, oh.
yeah, that was horrible. That was a horrible day.
Yeah.
I couldn't relax. I was so my stress level was just climbing. It was horrible.
Yep. Oh, trust me, I've been there, man. It's funny because we do the same. We used to do the same job, so we had all the same stories.
Yeah, that's funny. Anyways, back to hunting.
Yeah.
Hunting 101.
Yeah, I did want to show you this though. So this was the turkey fan. So what a lot of guys do is they'll take the fan of the turkey, they'll take the beard, and they'll take the talons that have the spurs, or like these little like thumb things, if you will, and they'll kind of decorate it, and they'll fan it out, and they'll put it on the wall. But I just wanted to kind of show you that.
This is crazy.
So you can see that's like the
super
fan
soft.
of the turkey, yeah. And so you can feel the down feathers up. Don't look at the bottom of that, but it's all crusted and weak stomach.
It's cool looking.
But when I go hunting in a few weeks, I'm going to use that fan, because they're going to see that fan when I start to call, and they're going to be like, "Oh my gosh, there's another. Who's that? I'm more bigger and the baddest one in the land."
Really?
Yeah.
That's really how this works?
And that's
crazy.
half the reason why I kept one from last year, is because that's legit.
First of all, this is super soft.
Yeah.
I want some.
And I don't know if you can hear, but like this. So this is the wing of the turkey, and I don't know if this will pick it up, but so when you hear them take off, man, you can. I mean, they sound pretty crazy. Yeah, so it's like
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's really great to use these for training labs for feathers.
Point it at the camera real quick.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's cool.
So I wanted to show you those. It's kind of cool. I kept them for last year.
So soft, dude.
Yeah, it's nuts, right? And they're beautiful, and I have a present for you at the end of this. So.
No.
Yeah.
You got me a turkey? A tom?
No.
A full tom. You're gonna kill it yourself. You're like, it's kill your own tom day.
Man, I wish you saw that. I wish you had that on film, because it was just so unathletic for someone like me to like try and kill this turkey. But
you're a pretty athletic guy too, so I imagine it's
you're a strong pup. Yeah, it was a lesson learned, but it's great. I actually had some of that turkey this past Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so what I did was, because I have nieces and nephews and smaller kids, I just stripped it out and dipped them in batter and egg wash and batter and just fried them.
Okay.
So they pretty much had turkey sticks, if you will.
Oh, that's
chicken
cool.
nuggets. They had no idea they were eating wild game, so it's kind of a good way to introduce it to kids or someone that doesn't really like wild game. So
that's freaking awesome. That's really smart, actually.
Yeah, man, it's not bad.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Have you had any? So I guess you've been hunting for the last 3 seasons, but I know that you have been to, I believe, Colorado to hunt. Was that elk?
Yeah.
How was that? And what's the difference between that and just regular hunting?
Oh wow. So if you've never had the opportunity to hunt elk, I suggest you should do it. And it is one of the toughest, most like gut checking, adventurous, like things you can do. I mean, it's absolutely nuts. And so the first experience I've ever had elk hunting, I wouldn't say hired. I was brought along to help, pack it out if we got one.
Right.
And to film it and take pictures and kind of document the hunt.
Okay.
So pretty much I was told, hey, you're going to get a camera, you're going to be in nature, all I need you is take pictures.
Okay.
And you can have some meat if you want. So
Right.
I was like, cool, it was great. I don't know if you've seen where the elk habitat are.
Colorado?
Yeah, they're in the mountains pretty good, man. And it's not like the nice side of the mountain where everything's great. No, it's they're in some pretty nasty thick stuff, man. And you are all day like, so you wake up early. Imagine this: you wake up early before the sun comes up. It's cold. You get your stuff on. You get to just the trailhead, not even the trailhead. You got to park and whatnot. Start walking in the dark, and you're going through the thick, right? You're going up, you're going down, you're going up just to go back down and just to go back up. And eventually the sun comes, or is like starting to come up. You start to just get a soft light, and that's, animals move in early morning and towards the night, right? Or conceptually, that's what we're thinking, because we don't hunt elk, we hunt white-tailed deer in Texas. Right. So we're like, let's just do the same tactics that we'll hunt white-tailed deer. So we sit down, we post up. I'm filming. We're seeing mule deer jump. It's beautiful. It's so cool watching mule deer. They're jumping around. Unfortunately, we didn't have a mule deer tag. And let me back up and say is the great thing about Colorado and archery season in Colorado is you can literally get an elk tag, a cow elk or a bull elk tag over the counter. What that means is you can literally go and purchase it for X amount of dollars and then go hike the San Juan National Forest in search of the elk that you purchased, whether it be a bull elk, a male elk, or a cow elk, a female. So we had over-the-counter
so anybody
tags.
could do this?
Anyone could do this, yeah. So that's a great thing. So the unit, and so Colorado is divided into units. Mm-hmm. So certain subsections of like where you can hunt. Unit? Exactly. So this one was Unit 80. And this is the first unit as you cross the border. So inevitably, a lot of people hunt that because it's right there.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So we're going through the thick of it. It's 4 a.m. You're getting up. You're tired. You get some chow in you. It starts to get soft light. You post up. You get a little cold because you're not moving anymore. You wait. You hope for an animal to come within shooting distance, and that's like for most guys, 20 or 30 yards.
Okay, with a bow. With a bow.
Yeah, comfortably shooting, right? And then you sit. Well, we sat till about 10. Didn't see much. And
4 a.m. to 10.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
Like 10 a.m.
Wow.
So go hike around for a little bit more. Find a nice little place to chill. Have some chow, some lunch or whatnot, and then pretty much stay off your feet for a little bit. Then go hike again to another area. When the sun starts setting, same thing, kind of post up and wait for something. Mm-hmm. If you don't see anything, you got to hike back to the truck in the dark, hike back to your camp, drive back to your camp. And then by then, you've hiked so much that you're just exhausted.
Wow.
And all you want to do is eat some food and go to sleep. But in doing this 4 or 5 days in a row, your body starts to just get used to it. And you feel like you can just keep doing it.
That's cool.
Yeah. So... yeah, that was my first experience elk hunting, not really knowing what I was getting into. Up for the challenge, love walking and hiking in the, up and down in the woods and whatnot. But it was really cool. We saw all the mule deer. We saw coyotes. We saw black bear and her cub.
Oh, shoot. And her cub? That's scary.
Cubs. Yeah. So everything but elk. So we came home empty-handed, which in the biz they called eating tag soup, meaning... you paid for it, but you didn't get it. So.
Eating tag soup?
Eating tag soup is what they call it.
Dang.
Yeah.
Dude, I was about to say, the craziest thing about hunting, it just no matter if it's elk or whatever, is like you're not guaranteed to get something, which is nuts. Because like you could be out there for a week and not get anything, or like X amount of time. Like as long as you were out there, there's no guarantee you're coming back with anything.
Exactly. And to give a ballpark figure, like think about the time off from work. Think about the gas money to get there.
Yeah.
Think about the food, the groceries. Think about the tag itself, which is, north of $600.
For an elk?
For a cow or bull elk. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
As well as, whatever your other expenses would be, whether it's equipment, whether it's, water, whether it's, a hotel, whatever, Think about all that and not harvesting that
anything
and not getting anything back.
Yeah, that's wild.
And the crazy question is, was it worth it? Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
And then that's why I'll go back every year.
That's cool. Are you going to try to go back every year?
Yeah. So kind of got smarter and branched out with networking. So I will still over-the-counter public land hunt next year.
Okay.
Or this year, rather, in September. But in late November, the second rifle season in Colorado, have a client that has a ranch and will let us go harvest to cow elk. Yeah, at a discounted price. So regardless, elk will be harvested. So yeah, so we got our first 2 cow elk last year, and
Are
we
you
literally
kidding me?
once we got it, we put it we quartered it out, put it on ice, like put a tarp down, just packed like bags of ice in it from a convenience store.
Yeah.
Put another tarp over it, tied it down, and drove it to Texas because it was so cold. And this was in Colorado Springs, not Colorado Springs, excuse me, Steamboat Springs. So it's kind of
Okay.
like North Colorado. It was so cold all the way up to like Amarillo that we just drove it. And you want air to hit the carcass, like you want it to air out that meat.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it was just easy. As soon as we killed it, we're like, all right, it's 4:30. Let's head to Texas. And we got into Texas at like 4 a.m., 5 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
Had to start deboning it and all that. So it was crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's a recent thing you found that person in that's rifle you said?
Yeah, rifle. So
Okay.
again, I didn't go shoot, but I shot with the camera. So I was there to document.
Okay.
So yeah, it was awesome.
How are you going to be able to get one yourself? Like shoot it with a gun or a bow?
Right. So what I'm going is I'll have a tag this season in September, and
Okay.
I will go in the backwoods by myself or with a partner, and then go hike and actually try and go hunt one with the with the bow. So this year's last year. So the most recent elk hunt, it was quite the anomaly because there was a snowstorm in southern Colorado that hadn't happened in 30 years.
Yeah.
So it threw off a lot of hunting and it threw off a lot of
Oh, I
hunters.
bet. Yeah.
So trying to hunt elk in knee-deep snow,
Oh.
going up and down, it was horrible. Like,
Yeah, I bet. That's crazy.
it was like the fact that usually when they hate snow, so we thought that snow was going to push them down to like 9,000 feet. They stayed up to 12,000 feet. So we were trying to hunt at 8,000,
Oh my
9,000
gosh.
feet. So we were never going to find them. So it was just nuts. So elk hunting is one
Hard.
of the most challenging things I've ever had. But
That's
it's awesome.
crazy. What? So okay, let's take a few steps back here and let's talk about a first generation hunter. Let's talk about me.
Yeah.
Like I've never been hunting.
Yeah, let's do it.
Besides our few chats, I have no idea how to do it. Like not even like where to aim on the deer or the elk or the turkey, but like first steps. Like what are the first steps? Like if I wanted to start hunting whenever it was open season for turkey, 2 weeks, what would I have to do first?
So obviously you have to have a place to hunt.
Okay.
Now Texas is largely owned by privately owned. So we don't have a lot of public land here, as opposed to like Arizona or Utah or Colorado that has public land that anyone can go on and do. So the first step would be finding a secure area that you're allowed to hunt.
Right.
AKA like a deer lease or some sort of land like that. As well as find your, weapon of choice, whether you're going to have a shotgun, whether you're going to have a rifle, crossbow, or a compound bow, or whatnot. So that's what I'd say is pretty much find a place and kind of identify what you want to hunt, like what's important to you. Because duck hunting is another thing that's just
popular in
a different
Texas.
kind of fun.
Yeah.
And that's why I started training my lab is because of hunting waterfowl. And so using that as a conservation tool, because you know how many birds are lost or, you can't find them in the weeds or they'll duck behind and they'll get winged or wounded. But with dogs, having that extra scent, knowing, where to find them, you'll lose so many less birds. So that's again just another subset of hunting and a first generation hunter taking a dog, training them. I've never trained a dog before to waterfowl hunt until this year, and that's like another facet of first generation hunting.
Wow, that's cool.
So yeah, so she's an 8-month-old chocolate lab named Maya, purebred. Yeah, she's great, man.
She's a little cutie.
She's a bruiser, and she was the biggest of her litter, and I wanted her that way. I wanted her to be not scared, and she's 8 months old and she's 60 pounds right now. She's big, dude. Yeah,
that's cool, bro.
She's a sweetheart.
Do you give her some of your game meat that you have? Like whenever you make your meat, do you ever give her some of it?
So I've taken her out to the lease as I'm quartering and cleaning the animal, and she's eating here and there and lick some blood, like simple dog stuff. But I don't like to give her raw meat usually.
Okay.
But with feathers and dove, she has she knows what a frozen dove is, and she's had some feathers in her mouth. She understands what they are. But I wouldn't actual feed her meat. So
Okay.
she's had cooked deer meat before, backstrap and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
but not like a lot, just to get a
That's cool.
taste of it. Yeah.
That's cool, man. So find the land, figure out what you want to hunt with, whether it's rifle or bow or knife.
And predicate on like what animal do you want to hunt, right? You're not going to hunt a duck with a rifle or a bow, right?
Unless you're pretty good at aim, right?
That would be hilarious. Thanks for that mental picture. Yeah, and it's just, again, a lot of people, what they'll do is like deer hunt, right? And again, an entry level, more universal way to hunt deer in Texas is have like a deer stand, sit in it. You have a feeder with the fence or pin around it, and certain times,
right?
And then the deer will come in. You find the one you want to harvest, and you take your shot.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing wrong with that, and that's usually how a lot of people grow up or start hunting, and that's what I did as well. Grow up hunting.
It's probably the easiest way.
That was my first experience hunting, if you will.
So when you go on a hunt, regardless if it's in Colorado Springs or wherever, what do you bring?
Again, let's just say let's say Colorado, I'm elk hunting, Colorado, obviously my bow, and just gear to go hiking or backpacking in the woods. I'll have like cold gear, I'll have rain gear, because in the mountains you have afternoon storms every day. And then I'll just be prepared to live in the backcountry for 3 to 4 days, and that's the equipment that's my mindset is, look, I want to get so far back here that it's off the beaten path, it's away from everybody, best chance of finding this animal, and then I want to be able to be there for 3 or 4 days so I can take it from there and go even farther, and that's like kind of like my satellite camp.
Yeah.
So that's my mindset is, if I'm going to go hunt elk, I'm packing in like I'm going backpacking. If I'm going to go hunt duck at my lease, I'm going to bundle up because it's going to be cold and wet,
Oh, yeah.
And predicated on what day or what month I'm hunting deer, because it opens in November, closes in January. If it's early season, you have early, mid, and late season. If it's early season, it's still hot in Texas. You know? So I'm wearing as much camo, the lightest like material I can. And I'll probably have a lot of flies around me, and so I just have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and flies like flying into your insides of your eyes and your nose, and being still and trying to get deer. So it's all situational, it's all time of year, and it's all like
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you have staples? Like, of course, like the most extreme I know people have, sometimes they'll bring like water filters or like something to clean their water if they find it. I guess if they run out, that's usually for people that go pretty far in and camp out. Like,
right, yeah. So one of the things is you want hydration, and multiple ways to get clean water, whether that's like a sterile pen that you put in your water source, or like a hydration pump, or like those life straws. You can actually just like suck the actual pools of water. I mean that's one thing I'll do is I'll have a bladder, and then I'll have like something that screws on to a water bottle. And basically what I'll do is I'll fill the water bottle up in the stream, screw on the little attachment that filters it, and you can just pour it directly into your mouth, and it'll filter it out 90%.
Wow.
So
That's cool. And I guess that where you hunt, you're probably not going to need anything more than that. Like, you're not going to need something that's going to like kill, I don't know, all the bacteria, because your water's probably not that dirty where you're going, right?
Right. So whenever we hunted elk last September, there was so much snow everywhere that once it melted in the middle of the day, it would flow from the stream. So flowing water's a little bit easier than stagnant water.
Right.
I probably wouldn't trust the stagnant water, or do some sort of two methods to sterilize that. But we had so much running water, we felt comfortable. Now switch that over to the deer lease. We have a 79-acre lake on that back 300 property.
Nice.
So like that's where we hunt the duck. So I would use that as my main water source if I had to. But 9 times out of 10, we'd bring enough water to last us a weekend.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Dang, that's pretty wild, man. Do you have any crazy stories out there? Like, has anything crazy happened to you guys being on those elk hunts? Like, you said you saw a black bear?
Yeah. So I'm with a buddy of mine, Tyler, and I'm gonna film him to call in some elk. So I look right past him, and I just see this black bear just run across this meadow, and right as it gets to the middle of it, it just stands up, big chested, and like turns around and like is looking for something, and we're like, oh my gosh, if it sees us. And I'm thinking worst case scenario, like every bear attack scene in every movie just flashed through my eyes, and I was like, okay, I just have to outrun Tyler. I'm a fast guy. I used to play cornerback. Oh, I can do it. Just chop, 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 chop.
That's funny.
Take the camera and just run him.
Outrun Tyler.
But basically it stops and two smaller bear come running out, and it's her cubs. So we saw a sow and two of her cubs, run out, and that was really cool. And the crazy thing is what you find in the middle of the woods. You find some pretty crazy things, and we came across a carcass of an elk, but the way that it was, the way that it looked like it died, we're like, what? It looked like it just got ripped out by the throat and the stomach. That was it. And like everything was still pretty much decomposing on this side, but it wasn't like torn open. And then the throat was like torn open, and then like the body cavity. So it could have been rodents. I'm not a biologist, and that means
yeah, right.
Just the things that you run into in the back like country and woods. It's kind of crazy.
That is crazy. I can't imagine, dude. I want to try it. I've always wanted to try it. I've had buddies all throughout school.
It's a mental check. It's a gut check. Like there's been so many times I'm climbing up the side of the mountain, and every switchback, I mean, I'm saying some words that I'm like, I'm putting words together that don't make sense, because you're so frustrated, and in that moment it's like, dude, this is tough, and it just keeps going. It keeps going, and then when you finally get to the top of the hill, it's like, or the top of the mountain, it's like, this is just the start of it, Yeah. You have another couple thousand feet to go.
Jeez.
It's definitely a gut check. So
that's crazy.
So like all the guys and I'm sure like guys that chase wild meat, like Joe Rogan has done it before, the Steve Ranellas, and then like the Cameron Haynes, like those guys are in shape for a reason, man. Like it's tough.
Yeah,
like, it's absolutely tough to go hunt elk. So
I believe it, man. So elk are obviously humongous. Like how much? So compare like a deer that you would hunt here in Texas compared to an elk, how much meat would you get from each if you were to, clean harvest and nothing were to go wrong on your, when you're quartering it and packing it up?
So like the biggest deer that I've seen that I put down, maybe a couple 100 pounds.
Okay.
Elk, you'll probably have a couple 100 pounds of meat after it's been like processed, and you have a couple 100 pounds of meat to take home. Like,
wow.
It's like the scale. It's the same animal. Like as you gut a deer and as you process a white-tailed deer, just think about like 4x scale. It's the same thing in the way to do it. It's just way bigger scale.
Wow.
So it's just like the massiveness of the animal. It's impressive every time. We were coming back from a hike after not being successful.
Yeah.
And we just see this guy drive with a mule, like a side by side, and he had this huge huge head on it. This elk's head was on the back, but its rack was probably like 3 feet above the top of, and it was just so impressive just to see something that. And then hearing the story, basically he said he's been hunting that area for 8 years, and he's an old substitute teacher at an old college, and he said he's been hunting that area for 8 years. He finally got a shot on a bull elk, and he said, when we were like, well, how far were you? What was it? He said he put his pen up, and the elk covered his whole bow, so it was so close that when he had a full draw, that thing was bigger than his entire bow. So that thing was probably here to you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So if he would have missed that, he would have been a freaking idiot.
Yeah, that would have been.
Nah, probably nerves. I'm sure you get nervous, just with anything else that you're
8 years trying to pursue something and finally having one opportunity. Yeah. But that's just elk hunting. And I mean, think about whitetail hunting. That's all. I didn't harvest a buck this year because they were just so pretty. I was looking at them, and I didn't have an opportunity that I felt comfortable enough to take that shot.
Yeah.
So I just ended up watching it.
What's a comfortable range for you? I guess I should say. It's like what would make you feel uncomfortable in that shot?
So anything like past 30 yards for me, and it's all dependent on how they're standing. Like if it's broadside, meaning like if it's this way and here's the front, here's the rear, and it's just looking sideways, it's my favorite shot. I mean, you have your perfect target. If it's quartered away from you, meaning like his face is this way, his butt's towards you, yeah, I mean, that's not my favorite shot. It's still, you hit vitals, and it's not a bad shot to take. But I would say broadside just because it's everything's right in front of you.
Right. It's like, it's not necessarily a layup, but it's the
best
shot
possible
scenario.
Yeah, right. Best possible target for that. And I would say 30 yards and in, 30 to 20 yards.
Yeah.
anything outside of that, I wouldn't feel comfortable to take.
Yeah. So for a non-hunter, I always thought that you were supposed to shoot deers in the head. Isn't that crazy?
So, yeah, I mean, so I've heard the thing, you know, shoot it in the neck to harvest the meat, and you know, whatever the case may be. I'm not for that. Like, I would rather double lung it, shoot it in its vitals. It expires as quickly as possible in the most humane way. Like, think about it. That deer was gonna die by infection, die by a broken leg and coyotes, die by, you know, getting chased into water by coyotes or whatnot. I'm killing it like in the most humane way possible, and it's gonna not suffer as opposed to those other ways.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Because if it got like if another predator came and was trying to tear that thing up, it would be horrible for it. You know.
And that's why I wanted to show this right here. So there's two kinds of tips, if you will. There's fixed blade and then there's mechanical. So basically, the mechanical will be folded in, and once it hits, it'll spread with the idea that look how much like slice that's going to be. So that's 2.5 inch slice. So that's going to cause massive amount of bleeding to really expire it that fast. So that's what you want pretty much. It's like, check that out.
Dude, this legit looks like a bullet.
Like a grappling hook, yeah, and like a bullet, yeah, and that's what it's made to do. I mean, obviously it's made to punch through.
Yeah. So you shoot it when it's closed.
Yep.
And then it opens with the wind.
It'll open as it hits. Yeah, it'll open and it'll cause the damage. And you'll know. Crazy. You'll know when you hit. I mean, you can hear it. And then.
What does it sound like?
No. It sounds more like throwing a rock. You know, like a pallet. You know, like a pallet. If you stand it up and you throw a rock and it hits in between, it's just like a loud knock, like a rib knock.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it sounds like because it's punching through ribs.
Oh, that's kind of crazy.
But yeah.
And this is a broadhead.
That's a fixed blade. That's a fixed blade broadhead. So.
Are they all called broadheads? What does broadhead mean?
That's what you call them. They're broadheads. Yeah.
Broadheads.
So and then you have like field tips, which you train on. Yeah. So doesn't have any remains on that, but you can see the difference. Again, it's all preference. Some guys like mechanical. Some guys like fixed. So.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild, bro. Which one do you prefer? Or do you shoot with both? You just whatever. So, okay, so like I follow Joe Rogan, if you can't tell by the setup here.
Who?
Bro Jogan. I follow Joe Rogan. So Cam Haynes, of course, I've been introduced to him, which he's like I would say if you could have a professional hunter, he is the like top of the line, you know?
Yeah, it's funny because I didn't know who Cameron Haynes was until you showed me who he was on his Instagram. I was like, oh, this guy's kind of legit.
Yeah, savage. Like not even with his hunting, but his hunting is like, I've honestly learned a lot through him just on his Instagram because he's super passionate about it. He's been doing it for like 25, 30 years.
Oh yeah,
and so like
it's a staple of like. And what I love about Cameron Haynes is he's like 5 arrows, 5 bull elk, and he has it sighted in where and how many yards. Like that's pure. Like that's purism right there. Like, he didn't have to take more than one shot. Everything was true. That's respect. I have absolute respect for that.
Yeah,
that's inspiring. Cool. Yeah.
That's cool because it's like, so basically what I'm trying to get at is that he's like, okay, I have this tip on my bow. I have this, what's it called? The bow, the actual thing that you would put that on.
Like, are you talking about the actual arrow?
Arrow.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Arrow.
Yeah.
And then you have your broadhead that you put on the arrow. So he's like, all right, I have this broadhead, I have this arrow, and I know the weight of each of them. And so I'm only going to practice with these because this is the only thing I'm going to shoot for this next hunt I got coming up. Yeah. And he'll shoot like 100. It's like shooting free throws, right? Like, of course you can't have the same ball. You're not going to practice with the same ball you're going to shoot with unless, whatever. But
sure.
Like he uses the same
weight and everything.
All the gear, so he gets 100% like
just dialed
in, and then he just makes his kill, and it's like effortless for him. I mean, I'm sure he probably still gets nerves and stuff, but
oh yeah, I mean, the day I don't have that like jumping feeling when I see something in my target scope or my sights, the day I don't feel that will be the day I stop hunting.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like every time it's just like that excitement,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What would it take for me to go out to a hunt with you?
Landowner permission, honestly, because you got to think about that, and that's one of the risks you run nowadays. Is there's so many like liabilities with land and people coming out on that. If someone gets hurt, something hunting guns or whatnot, someone gets hurt. So what the lease that I'm on is we just have an addendum. Basically, you have to sign, being, hey, I'm here under my own free will. If anything happens, like I release you guys of any legal action, stuff like that. And it's just so many legal jargon and like just things you have to go through and like semantics. But that's what it would take just to make sure everyone's cool with that, and making sure you're available and not doing all these podcasts because you're like a celebrity now.
True. I could take a break from this though. I would like to go hunting. I would like to go hunting with you because you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to go with like, not to say like any of my friends don't know what they're doing, but I know how you are, and I've seen kind of how detailed and involved you get once you kind of find something you're passionate about. Like you were with guns for a while. Like you're super like top tier on gun safety and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You go all in is what I'm trying to say.
Oh,
Like
Definitely,
most of my buddies, like whether they're all in or not, they like, they're like, oh, okay, I have this gear. I'll leave it here till the next season. And then they won't usually mess with it until next season or practice their skill, or they're just casual hunters, like. So I would like to go with somebody like that's super involved and super knowledgeable about it.
I'll nerd out with you about everything and like why I sit up here and like, like the moon phases as well. And like, what are the deer doing right now? What is pre-rut? What is rut? What is happening? Why are these deer's necks getting fat? Why are they grunting? Why are they chasing as many does as possible? Why do they have their head down? I just nerded out, but
all that stuff is important though. I mean,
absolutely. And that takes watching deer. And you always hear like how do guys get better at hunting? I'm telling you, the best thing, you can read books, you can YouTube, the best thing and no substitute is just going there and watching deer. Watching deer and watching it. And over the years you'll start to know them and know where they bed down, know where they transition, know where they eat, and it's just cool.
So in terms of a lease, would that be why people like lease out land instead of just like doing like a drop-in day? Like if you like pay, I don't even know if that's possible, but like let's say I'm Aaron, I want to start hunting. I wouldn't just go from lease to lease seeing if I could get on, because then you don't really learn their patterns. You kind of want to stick to like routines, and like, is that part of it?
That's an interesting way to think about it. I would err more side on the landowner side, say like I wouldn't just want random guys running through my land that don't take appreciation for it. If someone's going to be there all season and put forth effort to make plots and like food plots and build feeders and like set up spots, they're going to take a little bit more pride in it. So, that's ultimately where my mind would go on it. But I'm sure they do have like pay here for this ranch and you can go hunt pronghorn or antelope, if you will, like on like near New Mexico, like West Texas stuff with just huge vast ranches. You can actually ask landowners and they have tags that they'll sell to people to come hunt antelope.
That's cool. So if I was to hunt here, I have to get a tag first, of course.
Well, you have to get a hunting license, right? And you have to do like hunter's education course for
you
Texas.
have to do that?
You can defer it up to a year. So cool. Like what I did is I got my hunting license my first season. Again, green, didn't know what to do. Deferred my hunting license for a year and then took it before I got my second year hunting license. But yeah, so you do want a hunting license, a hunter's education course. That we probably should lead with that. That's first and foremost.
It's all right,
stay legal, absolutely.
People have
to. Then a place to actually hunt. So as long as you get your license, man, like I can probably facilitate like a hunt. If not for spring turkey, we can absolutely hunt hog because that's all year round.
And that's pretty big game here in Texas, right?
Yeah, because you got to think a lot of guys have like ranches, right? And feral hogs, they root up the ground and kind of destroy the land, so they're kind of looked as a pest. Yeah. So they're able to hunt year round, because think about it, if you have $1 million land and $250,000 is getting messed up by pig. Yeah. You should be allowed to
kill them.
Exterminate them. Yeah.
To kill them.
Exterminate them. Yeah.
You ever gone hog hunting with just a knife?
No, I did not.
One time?
No.
That'd be scary.
Hogs are pretty. They're
pretty gnarly, right?
Yeah. So in college, we used to trap hogs I used to cowboy in college, believe it or not. And at Sam Houston in Huntsville, Texas, we would trap hogs. And every time we trapped a hog, I was so scared, because as soon as you walk up to that, I think I got a little bit of a country accent thinking about that. No, every time you walk up to that pen, man, those things are so nasty and they're so aggressive and they're running into these steel beams full speed, and it's just like ting ting. And it'll wig you out, bro. Yeah, it'll wig you out, man. Yeah, so
that's cool, bro.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go hunting with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a few things I wanted to show you as far as hunting, and like I wanted to show the camera there. This is one of the bucks I've got in the previous on the lands that we had, or the lease that I had. And you can tell like it's not really a good mount because I didn't really understand.
I was holding it like this, but like this is his head like this, right?
Yeah.
It's backwards.
So you want it's up. So the very close ones, those brown tines, yeah, they're gonna be straight up. They'll be straight up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like that.
That's how it sits on their head?
Yeah, just like that.
Oh, shoot, yeah.
Maybe a little bit farther back. Yeah, just like that. Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's like his eyebrows right there, bro.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
So you can see how thick his beams are. He was a little older deer. Yeah.
It seems like it's
crazy.
wood. What is this?
So I wish I knew. It's kind of like your nails, if you will. I wish I was more nerded out and knew the science behind it. But what's awesome about white-tailed deer is they'll actually shed those antlers every year.
Dang.
So those things will actually pop off, and they'll just be like little like nubs.
Yeah.
They look like little red, and then they'll start growing their next years. And by the time
hunting
fall
season
happens, yeah, they'll actually
they're
have
this big already.
Yeah,
they get that big in like
so fast,
about a year.
Absolutely. And then lastly, I want to talk about this. This is an axis deer. So axis deer have like the white spots on it, and it's more like that. This is the brown tine on it. So
that's the inside small one.
Yeah, that's the inside
my
small
gosh.
one. Yeah. So axis deer are exotic animals.
This is crazy.
So you can hunt those in Texas year round on like a high fence game ranch. So what's really cool about that one is there's this guy that owns a high fence game ranch outside of Austin, and he hired me to come take pictures of his deer. And when I was on the property, I found this actually with a whole bunch of other ones in his garage, and I asked him if I could have it.
Really?
Yeah, so I didn't like find it laying around or anything.
Oh, so he was just like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, it was just with a whole bunch of other ones. So he
That's
had like
awesome.
just mounds of it. So
Is that who your connection is up in Colorado or wherever that was?
no, not at all. No.
Okay, don't spoil it.
I won't. Can't give away the secrets,
That's
man.
cool though, bro.
Yeah.
So what would it take for? I mean, of course, you probably wouldn't want to take a rookie out on a first like an elk hunt, but like, what would it take for a girl like you to date a guy like me?
For that, well, what I would say, love that movie quote. What I would say is do what I did and just offer to photograph it and document
photograph it?
Yeah, and then
For you.
That, and then just throw a little bit like towards the actual tag, like pitch in on it or throw on it.
$20.
Yeah, $200,000. Yeah,
200. Okay.
200 grand
For one tag.
Yeah, that's it, man.
All right.
For life.
Is that the tag for life?
For life. No, so yeah, that's kind of like how I started. It was like, hey, look, I'll help carry the meat. I'll pitch in for the tag, and I'll document it if you let me come. So.
But I mean, essentially, if you're pitching in for a tag and he gets it, you're getting a little bit of meat, right? Like
a lot of meat, yeah.
Like how much would you say? Like what if you? But you got one before you said. So how much were you given at like? How much meat did he give you, like in poundage?
So like I probably had 100 pounds of meat or so.
Okay,
like,
so
the bottom of my freezer is still full of majority elk. Like I have ground hamburger, I have elk cuts, I have a lot. So it's probably gonna last me until next season for sure.
So let's think of this in terms of a guy like me who eats 100 pounds a week.
Yeah.
How much would that last me?
So I eat elk or wild game at least once or twice a week.
Okay.
And I don't buy ground beef anymore. All my ground beef is wild game ground beef.
Jeez.
So I don't buy any of that. And like kids like it as well. So nieces, nephews, small kids, it's a great way to introduce them.
Right,
it's
right.
like ground beef, right? Or like ground venison. So for you, I mean, that would last you by yourself 2 years.
Jeez.
I'd
a
say
whole elk
a whole elk. Yeah,
Oh,
2 years.
okay.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Like for amount of like if you're eating like a slice of wild game like once a week, once or twice a week, yeah, it should last you a couple years for sure.
Wow, that's crazy.
So I always get wild game and I always give it out, and I still have leftover. So like my two deer that I got, my 2 does that I got this season, like I still have ample amount of hamburger and ample amount of like actual backstrap cuts and loin cuts.
Wow,
so, yeah.
That's crazy. That's pretty good. I remember you cooked some for us. That was venison, right? The burgers.
It was the burgers, man, and let me get another round at that. Man.
They were good. I mean, I ate 2 of them. They're huge.
Because you'll eat anything.
Yeah, that's true. I'll eat whatever.
But yeah, so what I did was with the elk burgers, I did elk and venison kind of mixed together, and we did a couple different ways, and they're pretty good. So with our elk, we cut it with pork. So because elk is so lean, when you mix it, you want to mix it with like we'll do like a pork shoulder and grind it both up
Something
together.
a little fatty, a little more fatty.
Exactly.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yep.
When it's being processed, is that how it works?
Yeah, so when guys like take their deer to the processor, they'll ask them, what do you want to cut it with? And a lot of times they'll do it with pork fat, just to make it more, obviously a higher fat content, made it more kind of sticky together and not just like a straight lean meat. So
lean meat, like I've had.
it'll dry out. It'll cook, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It'd be like it'd be so lean, like you won't get the juice from the burger.
Okay.
Like the flavor. If
Yeah, I've had like 90. You know how they have like
90-10.
ground turkey. I've had like 90-10 ground turkey before, and that stuff is so sticky when you're messing with it.
Exactly,
And
but it's like so dry. It's not like you can't really form it, and then it's just like it dries out when you cook it, right?
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's lean meat. It's like absolutely lean
It's like
meat.
one of the best meats you can have, right? It's like really, really good for you and high in protein. And
I mean, there's been so many studies on like wild game meat diets or meat only diets, right?
Yeah.
And my preferred way for elk or any type of venison steak is on the air fryer. I don't know if you ever had an air fryer, man. Have you ever messed with
Not
an air
steak.
fryer?
I had some air fried food last night, but I didn't have steak, or I've never had meat in it. Like,
So I just got turned on to this air fryer thing, and I had no idea what I was like. Okay, cool. Heard about it. Man, I think it's gonna change my life. Like a good steak, like a good slice of a backstrap, 4 minutes on each side. Like, oh man, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Really?
Oh yeah. And I got it. I got that recipe from the guy that owns the ranch. He's been hunting elk his whole life. He's
wow.
like, this is the way to do it. I was like, okay, sir. Tried it. Absolutely, I would.
Better than like on the grill or like reverse seared in a
and maybe smoker. Yeah, I mean, it's just that is my preferred way. It's just
wow.
It was awesome.
Do you sear it after? Do you just?
I mean, I'd seasoned it, and the air fryer just cooked it perfectly, like on 400, and just like cooked it perfectly. It was so good. Yeah.
That's insane. I'm gonna have to try that. I've never had any sort of meat in there other than chicken, but
and predicate on how good the turkey hunt goes. I'd love to come back and maybe we can do like a spatchcock turkey or some sort of like spritzel turkey. Like just breaded and flat.
Sure, yeah, whatever that means. Yeah. I don't know what that means. Schnitzel?
Schnitzel. My bad. What did I say? Spritzel? Schnitzel. Yeah, schnitzel. So like a turkey schnitzel. I think Steven Ranella does a great job of it on one of his episodes, and it's really good. So
that's something I need more of from you, Tim. Is more cooking content on your Instagram, bro. You do it on your stories, but then it they go away. So we need more cooking, like maybe even recipes. Like I put it on the the Traeger for this amount of time, then I flipped it, then I did this.
I'll do that.
Dude, seriously, man. That's like a huge, I mean, not really about the followers, but like people care to know about that stuff, like ways to cook.
It's just therapeutic, man. And like, again, food brings people all walk of life. Doesn't matter what religion, race, it doesn't matter what age you are either. Like it'll bring people together. And that's what I love about food. Love that about music as well. Like, so yeah.
Makes the world go around, right?
That's it, man. We're all just here.
Saying? What was that saying you used to say?
People helping people is powerful stuff.
Yeah, there it is.
Amen.
There it is. All right, bro. We've been in here for like an hour and a half. What else do you want to talk about? Do you have anything else?
I mean, honestly, I want to. If you do have any questions that pop up, or if anyone does have any questions or wanted to further pontificate on some of these topics, I'd love to. I know we kind of went a roller coaster down some, but that's just how it goes.
That's just how it goes. It's so fun though, man. I really appreciate you coming in, and it's like a time trap, bro. It's already almost 3:00, and you got here like.
It's like 1:30.
Yeah.
1:20 something, yeah.
Like 1:30. It's like, it's moves so fast. It's so fun. I definitely want to have you back in here, though.
Bro,
especially,
I would love to, man. Yeah.
We'll have to plan it out to where it's like either in between your hunts, like in between seasons, because, well, when is the seasons? Like, what? So you said turkey's coming up. Yeah, so it's
spring turkey. So spring turkey starts April 3rd, and I think it goes into May. Don't quote me on that. I'm sorry, I don't know the actual. And then you have dove, which opens September 1st, which is still hot in Texas. So we might do that. That's a good entry hunt because it's like in cornfields and it's shotguns and you guys are spaced out.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can absolutely do that in my buddy's land. So let's pencil that in, and we can get you behind a shotgun. Have you ever shot a shotgun?
Never
before?
have.
Oh man, this will be fun. So we can have clay pigeons. They're called clay pigeons, but they're the little like orange discs that you throw. And you shoot skeet.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can absolutely do that.
I'd love that.
And we could document it.
I'm so down for that.
Yeah.
We'll document whatever. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Now I got this little HD thing.
So that's early, like September, and then November 1st is deer season. If you
November 1st is
November
deer.
1st, and that's let's go, baby. And then elk is September, like, so it's like go time, baby.
Dang. So you are gonna go elk hunting this season. You're gonna go twice.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go early season in September, where it's supposed to be the rut and like bow hunting it, and then I'm gonna go late season in November, which is like second rifle, and then Colorado has first, second, and third rifle. So it's like they spaced it out. So I normally go in second, because third rifle, I mean, it's if you can as the ranch owners, if they can make it through first and second season rifle, third season it's like slim picking. So we like to get right in the middle. We don't have all the people rushing to get first season, and it's kind of like the sweet spot.
Yeah. Are you taking your guy with you that you normally take? You and a buddy normally go on these trips together, right?
Yeah, so we have, for the guy that we actually hunt on the ranch for in late season, we have a subset of 4 that we go, and it's kind of like we're blooded in to go get elk and then bring it back to the family. And then in early season September, I have a buddy from back home. He's my best friend from high school. Brandon Mobley would come with me, and he's a great bow hunter as well, and he's never harvested an elk, so we're both chasing that dream of first getting a
wow.
So,
are y'all both gonna get a tag, or you're gonna split it? You think?
So what we did is last year we split a tag. I think this year I'll probably get cow or elk tag, and you can get either sex, and then he might get a bull elk tag, and we might go about it. So just in case we do see a cow, I can take the shot, and we'll feel confident about that.
That's awesome, bro. That's so cool to look forward to.
Yeah, dude.
Tim, I'm gonna get you out of here, but what kind of social media do you have, and like what do you like? Just shout out your social media and like whatever projects you got coming up.
Yeah, it's just Tim Kennedy, Tim_Kennedy, and Kennedy and the E's have 3s on them, but you can always check it out. I'm sure we'll get tagged on that.
Yeah,
and,
I'll take it.
Man, yeah, I'm just super excited what you're doing. Keep up the great work on your end, and I'll be happy to come back whenever you have me, man.
I really want you to start your own though, because I know you've had that dream and that goal of yours to start it. I'm doing it every week. I'm trying to just be consistent, but it doesn't have to be every week. You do it every once a month.
Well, see, so here's my angle. I'll dive into the hunting stuff. So if you want to know, I'm kind of the subject matter expert on it. You keep doing what you're doing here, and then when I have questions, you'll be the subject.
All right,
man.
that sounds good, bro.
People helping people is powerful stuff,
man. All right, Timmy, thank you for coming in, bro.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.